considering what my neighbors have to put up with me, it would not surprise me that there's like a conspiracy, to keep me from being able to do anything and cause all the problems.
Well,
I
I
could
thought
see
you
it.
already knew that. There's a GoFundMe out there that people chip into to send people to do lawn work near your house at appropriate times.
And construction. Let's not forget construction. And let's not forget when Bush decides to reroute planes, or maybe it's hobby, or it could be hooks, who the hell knows, or reroute planes one way or another, and they end up flying directly over my house.
Why did you correct yourself?
Why did I correct myself?
Because no, I mean, seriously. Why change it to Bush?
Only all old farts like us, you remember Intercontinental, when Continental was actually an airline.
My wife used to work for Continental.
I could have worked for Continental. I'm so glad I never went to that hellhole.
She regretted working there. Actually, she worked for Continental Express, so almost the same sort of thing.
Only worse, because primarily freight, right?
I'm not sure. I never asked.
Puddle jumpers and freight, I think. All right, well, we have some people actually here for a change. I shouldn't say for a change. I really shouldn't.
You shouldn't. You've got to learn to give your mom and her fake accounts more credit.
I actually went for all the bots that got kicked off Twitter and invited them to come, interact with the show. That's how I did that.
So how many followers did you lose on Twitter when they started, booting all the bots?
To my knowledge, none.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's funny. I have, I don't know what I've got, 1,300 followers. I'm only following like 450 people. And that's part of the problem. That's why I don't branch out, because people are looking at it and they're going, who does he follow versus this? Well, I don't have a whole lot of people that you're going to find in common, because I don't do a lot of the stupid bullshit you got to do to get there.
Oh, come on. Admit it. You do all those weird Twitter, TikTok challenges.
No,
Speaking of weird TikTok challenges, my wife is watching this thing from Mike Myers, this series that he did about an Illuminati-like organization, and he's playing most of the roles in it.
Oh no.
And the very first episode, the secret organization recruited a brainy physicist that they were going to force to join their ranks, and they faked his death by saying that that he died doing the Kiss the Star challenge. And then they explained that was, trying to contort yourself around so you could kiss your own butt. And
it sounds more like the chocolate starfish challenge.
and they, who Maria Menounos is, right?
Yeah.
That she's always in the theaters doing that and whatnot. I'm Maria Menounos, and they had her, talking about it. And then she said, and it is so weird seeing, her say this. She says, it's like a self-inflicted rim job. And I'm like, whoa. So I don't know exactly what that show is, but I watched a couple of episodes with her, and I'm like, that's some weird shit.
Now, this is something I now need to add to my playlist, because, thank you for that, because I need another distraction. Another distraction.
Oh, look, Ned Flanders is here. Oh, I mean JR. That's what Dean says. Do we really think that JR is Ned Flanders? If we had to go ahead and say JR is somebody from the Simpson universe, I'm not sure who I would say he was.
He's more comic book guy.
Ooh. Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired.
So he looks like Ned Flanders, but he's got the deportment of comic book guy. That got it. Yeah, that'll work out well. That'll work out well. There's a mishmash made in hell right there. Somebody go write that book. I'm not even sure how you make that work. The politeness versus the sarcasm. Can you be sarcastic politely? Can you do that? Can that actually be done? Inquiring minds want to know. We're all comic book guy.
I'm posting this in the comments.
Oh,
The Mike
no.
Myers show is called The Pentaveret.
The Pentaveret. Okay. Good to hear.
It's brand new. This year is its first season.
Nathan, you're right. Passive aggressive. That would be, I guess that's about as close as it gets. A passive aggressive Ned Flanders. Holy shit, that would be bad.
Ned Flanders is kind of passive aggressive sometimes.
So I have to run a check and see check our analytics and see if there's more people on the show with JR's here because they actually come for the insults to JR rather than listen to us.
So you're saying it's basically his audience coming over so that they can see him get a good slapping around. Is that
or anybody who's ever met him, heard of him, worked with him, things like that. It's actually him and his family, extended family, that's watching the show when he's on here.
I see.
That's really what it is.
So can you hear screamers screaming out in the hall, demanding entrance?
I would never be able to hear such a thing.
She is loud enough through my noise-canceling headphones. So I'm going to go grab her.
The Destroyer of Worlds. Yeah, seems legit. Ruiner of Plumbing. That's probably only after a night of a binge of Taco Bell, but I could be wrong. Yeah, they finally retired, right? The Ned Flanders band, Oakley Dokley, they retired, I think. Pretty sure, anyway. I'll happily take the numbers, Matt. Taco Tuesday. Oh, God, can you imagine binging Taco Bell on Taco Tuesday? Man.
Wait, usually that's not what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, usually you have to go to a colonoscopy to get that cleaned out. Speaking of feline overlords, the most viewed cat on this show ever has returned. We actually had an episode, I think it was last week, that did not have a cat in it. Not a single cat. It was the most amazing and disturbing thing ever. It was bad news.
The stars were aligned.
The stars were aligned for once. So what the hell have you been up to?
Oh, yeah. This has not been a grand week.
No.
So first off, late last week, my wife has a condition called Myasthenia Gravis, which affects her muscular strength. And it got bad enough in a flare that she was having trouble walking, fell down. She was having issues with breathing, swallowing. So off to the emergency room we went. 8 hours in the hall, very exciting, before they decided, there's probably nothing we can do if we admit you anyway, so we'll just send you home. She goes and sees her neurologist about it on Monday. So he'll probably adjust the medications. And there's a type of infusion that he might decide to see if the insurance will approve. They've done it to her before and it helped for a while. But it's very pricey, like $40,000 a pop pricey.
Ow! Jesus fucking Christ.
As you might imagine, the insurance company is loath to actually agree to do that.
Yeah, I imagine that doesn't make them very happy or, Wow.
And of course, also last week, the folks that do our AC inspection said, your system is on its last legs. It's time for you to replace it. And so we contacted our insurance company because we have it covered under a rider on our home insurance policy. And we discovered that it is literally 15 years to the month since it was manufactured. So it's not covered at full value. We could, if we still had records of when it was installed and it was installed in July of 2007, we'd be good. If we had called the inspector out to do the thing 3 weeks earlier, it'd have been good. Yeah. That did not work out in my favor. So, of course, we went ahead and started pricing units. And the very first person we called out said, yeah, we can replace that unit with one pretty much just like it, and it'll be $16,000. Like, yeah, that's pretty pricey. I think I paid almost $9,000 15 years ago, and that was, heartrending. And I said, yeah, let me get some sanity check quotes from other people. So we contacted the people that do our service, and they came out and made some offers, and the same style of unit as the other people were offering for $16,000 with our discount was $11,000.
Yay!
So big difference. And then we looked and said, okay, we can have 2-speed, we can have a heat pump, we can have an electrostatic filter installed, and that brings it up to $16,000 again. But I don't mind paying necessarily more. I don't mind paying extra for actual extra, as opposed to just being ripped off.
I've decided owning a house is a ripoff.
It's really how the man keeps you down.
It is. Wow, the man's trying to really hurt us now for owning property, at least in this state. But it just houses, just like you get to a certain point, everything starts to fall apart at once.
What does Dean say? How much? That's over 9,000. Yeah, 16,000 is over 9,000. Definitely.
No, I think he's talking about pounds versus dollars, or euros versus dollars.
If you say so, I'm not sure what he's saying. But in any case, we're scheduled to have them come out Tuesday if they actually can get one in stock again. It's produced locally, so they believe that they just happen to be out of that particular model, and they're expecting a shipment to come in on Monday that has replacements for it. And if not, it'll get pushed back a couple of days during the week. So like Wednesday or Thursday, as opposed to that. It's anytime this week is fine. The AC is still running, so it's not like it's a problem. But then we're going to have 2 days without AC while they're doing the work.
Yeah, that's going to suck. Say hello to box fans. You're going to have one in every window.
I'm going to definitely be putting fans in every room, but I've got to divide the cats up into various rooms so that they can't get out of the house. And that's going to be rough.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
And I can't open the windows because the screens on the outside are not in condition to keep a cat from getting out. So
I'm pretty sure if I tried to raise my windows, most of the screens would just disintegrate.
The wife will, Jay are saying I should stay in a hotel. The wife will indeed be staying in the hotel, and I'll spend the night there. But the cats are going to be locked up in a room with a fan blowing and plenty of water and their food in there. And they're just going to stay in whatever room, bedroom, or the couple of rooms upstairs that I can lock them in. Luckily, the high temperature is only 85. Still very hot, but it's not 100 degrees.
But it's a dry heat.
Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
Yeah. Where was it?
I'm looking back here to see if Dean expanded on what he was talking about.
Oh, here we go. Can we just cancel 2022, please? With all this and now monkeypox doing the rounds, I want a refund on 2022.
2022, 1 star, would not recommend.
Would not recommend. I actually would not recommend anything after 2017.
I just want to go back to the 80s.
It's been that kind of year. It really has. Oh, Jason, what the hell?
I got the last book off to the editor last Monday. So 6 days ago. So now I'm starting writing on the new one, which is its own kind of hell. So there's that too. Starting a new book right in the middle of all of this.
Yeah. In a way, I kind of know how you feel about that. Anyway, I'm sorry you had a terrible, no good, awful week. Awful, no good, terrible week.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can't remember how that title goes. I don't remember. Anyway, I'm sure somebody will correct me.
Over 9,000 is a Dragon Ball Z reference. Okay, I have no idea what it means because I'm not familiar with Dragon Ball Z, but I'll take your word on it.
And there's this. I come back to the 80s with you, but we need to address the music. Now, wait a minute.
Oh no,
wait a minute.
No, we don't need to address the music. The music's just fine.
Goddamn good music in the 80s. You just had to not listen to Pop 40 or Top 40.
I saw a tweet today, or saw a tweet. I saw a Facebook comment that it's been 40 years since the song "We're Not Gonna Take It" has come out, and after those 40 years, it's apparent that we are in fact going to take it.
No,
and they're still taking it.
That we in fact did take it. Swallowed it whole, as David Lee Roth might say. Oh, you ate some too. Sorry. Couldn't help myself. 80s. Yeah, the 80s. Oh, God, the brain damage.
I remember I was never one of those to go to many concerts or anything. Not much in the live music scene. But I remember in the very early 80s that one of the only concerts I went to live was Van Halen with David Lee, not David Lee Roth, with
Sammy Hagar.
Sammy Hagar in it. It was good.
I'm sure it was. It was back when all of them could
when
still
hair was large.
Oh, that too. Oh my God. And they were still drinking like fish at that point. Very unhealthy band. I was never really into Van Halen. Ever. That was like the party music for the kids that dressed nicely, weren't awkward, things like that. Those of us who were those nerds, found our way into Rush at that time. So it's this really weird deal where we, if we put on Rush, people would like the hits or whatever. When we got to the deep tracks, it'd just be like, what the fuck is this? Put on Van Halen. And then, we'd listen to nothing but the hits from Van Halen because nobody wants to listen to the Hot Dog Man or whatever the fuck it's called. But I was thinking about that. It's like when Neil Peart died, that really kind of affected me for a couple of weeks. It still does. And Eddie Van Halen dying didn't affect me at all. Strange. Van
Hagar was some good shit. That's all I
actually I think Van Hagar's music is gonna stand the test of time better than Van Halen with David Lee Roth. So that was the deal. Oh wow. Thank you, Dean. Congratulations on the release of the new book. Rush rules, and 2112 is one of my favorites. I snuck in another Rush reference in Station 3. I can't wait for people to go hunting for it.
We could always, if we were looking back at music then, I remember going to a graduation party where everybody was invited. I went, and I was kind of the introvert, so I basically didn't interface with very many people there anyway. But I remember they were playing Dr. Roboto.
Mr. Roboto. Sticks. Okay, now see, that's a perfect example of songs from the 80s we can absolutely fucking do without. In fact, I would venture to say anything by Styx or Foreigner after 1983, you could skip. You could completely skip and you will miss nothing. It goes for quite a few of those. Oops. There is unrest in the forest. There is trouble with the trees. For the maples want more sunlight and the oaks ignore their pleas. There.
Apparently we've started a fight.
No way Van Hagar is going to have more of a legacy. I don't know. Rush just spoke to me in a way that Van Halen, that sort of stuff, never did. It stirred something inside and agreed with my disposition more. It was more complex. Somebody mentioned that in the chords, but the music, the the lyrics and everything else, it wasn't just about partying or getting hammered or anything like that. It spoke to me on something deeper than like Pink Floyd did.
Matt says, sounds like Metallica after the Black Album. And I could only agree with that because I'm a huge Metallica fan, and I am not going to admit that they've had any music after that. Although I do like Unforgiven 3. It's about the only song that I like that they've done after the Black Album.
Oh my God. I am almost willing to say that nothing after And Justice for All was worth listening to.
You sure just don't want to go back to Ride the Lightning?
No, because I really enjoyed Master of Puppets, and I haven't listened to those albums in a long time. I probably should. But I'm with you. The new Metallica just doesn't. Nothing since Justice has spoken that way.
Anger was crap.
It was garbage.
It was garbage.
It was awful.
Was it Saint Anger? I guess it was. It was just terrible.
Saint Anger. Oh yeah, I just remember B-Man and I were driving to the concert to go see those chumps play. I think Godsmack opened for him. Godsmack destroyed them, but the radio DJs were making fun of James Hetfield's voice on that by overdubbing Saint Anger. You know, the one where he goes, it was just so bad. It was great. Yeah, you know, occasionally a song from those albums will enter my playlist, but lately I've just been kind of ignoring most things from the 80s, except for the techno and industrial stuff that was going on back then.
I think my introduction to Metallica was One.
I think that was most people's introduction to Metallica. So that was their first ever hit that wasn't on the metal only stations. And they didn't do music videos for a very long time. In fact, I think that was the first album they did music videos for. So they didn't get a whole lot of play on VH1, but all the metalheads knew who Metallica was, even if y'all didn't.
I got to say that I think that one of the bands that I like better than a lot of their stuff is Rammstein.
Rammstein. Yeah.
Even though it's in German, I can actually listen to their music while I'm writing because the words are not comprehensible to me, so they don't interfere with my thought processes.
That's one of the beauties of finding bands that do instrumentals like Yempox and things like that, or finding a band that's speaking in a language you don't speak, is it will fade into the background because your brain is not trying to process it at all. But sometimes I like to have lyrics I would like to have songs with lyrics so long as the lyrics aren't the primary part of it. So as long as the music is what catches me and the beat and puts my brain to sleep in that right place, then I'll go with that. I make playlists, change them all the time. I went through a metal phase, then I went through an industrial phase, then I went through a gothic phase. Now I'm on some other kind of phase I don't even want to talk about. Guilty pleasures phase.
Now you're on the garbage can phase.
Oh yeah, pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I'm plumbing the depths of stuff that just shouldn't be. I refuse to make it public. But yeah, K-pop is great writing music. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Terry and I are also really into soundtracks. Both of us.
The God of War soundtrack from the video game, I think from one of the video games, is actually a pretty good one to write to as well. I have a ton of soundtracks that I use when I'm in the mood to actually listen to music. It varies. Sometimes I want to listen to music. Sometimes I don't. More recently, when I'm dictating, I don't want to have music playing, but when I'm editing, I do.
My music choices change depending on what I'm doing, whether I'm writing or editing. But the books change it too. My Derelict soundtrack primarily consisted of dark instrumental bands like Yempox. That was for the vast majority of the entire series was like that, except for certain moments I was like, I need to pep this up, and I'd switch to something else, something with words and lots of anger, to get through it.
Nikki says German shouty music is the best.
Video soundtracks are freaking amazing because especially if they're done well. where you don't have just like 90 seconds of music and then like 30-second stingers and things like that, where they've actually gone through and made real songs. Some of them are just absolutely incredible. If you ever want me to post a list of instrumentals and Terry's instrumentals that we like for writing, we could probably do that. We could probably do that.
Yep.
You know, I've always wondered about this. If only Van Halen did German shouty music, the name lends itself to. Yes, I've always thought that too. How is Van Halen an American band? How does that work? I just don't get it. Post the list. Oh, yikes. Well, Terry did a bad thing. He turned me on to a Humble bundle that's available, I think, for another day or two, really.
I think it's got another three days, 3-ish
something
days.
like that. Something like that. I think I posted the link on Twitter, just like you did in Discord. It is in our Discord.
If you go to humblebundle.com, you can scroll down and see the royalty-free music thing. It's $25, and there's a bunch of really good music in there. I haven't downloaded all of it by any means, but the ones that I have, I'm like, oh, this is real professionally done stuff.
I downloaded 3 as a shot in the dark, and on the one album, I can't remember what it's called now. It's from Dark Fantasy Studios.
They're all from Dark Fantasy Studios.
Right. Well, what I found on this particular track was Dead Planet or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. And they've got a track that I was just like, oh, I need to redo the intro for Suits with this track. And that's the track I used today to put together all the YouTube shit for the Station 3 podcast. So it was a wonderful thing. Because as much as I love Kevin MacLeod, I did feel like I need kind of a change, and this is really nice. Some of those songs in there make me want to find something else to write just to have the soundtrack for it.
It was unexpectedly good royalty-free music.
Yeah, I made the mistake of downloading the Alien Voices one, not even thinking about it, and sure enough, it's all sound effects for aliens, which is hilarious. Because I was like, yeah, if I put that shit in Derelict, people would have freaked. I could have put that stuff at Station 3 and, oh, God, hear the grunting and slurping of the creatures in the background while I'm reading. It'd have been a little too distracting, but it still would have been kind of fun to do. Maybe every paragraph you hear something snort in the background. That'd be so wrong. So wrong.
I actually poked fun at alien voices in the series that I'm writing. I made a point of having the aliens' names being short, pronounceable, and easily remembered, and then made the comment from the character saying, oh, what a refreshing change. Usually in fiction, it's always got asterisks and clicks and hisses, and it's totally incomprehensible.
That's a good line from Steve Martin. She says her name is Jennifer or whatever, and he goes, oh, finally a normal name, and then she spells it. And it's like this nightmare of, like, you know, unicorns and shit. It was awesome. LA Story. If you haven't seen that film, shame on you. Go watch that right now. Oh, yeah. Stream Beats. Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah, I like there's a lot of royalty-free music to go look at for, you know, if you're putting together a podcast or trying to do an audiobook, needed intro music or something like that, the stuff is there. It's all about whether or not you want to do it and, you know, what your kind of time commitment is on finding it. But most of the stuff is very loopable, which is awesome if you're doing long YouTube trailers or ads or whatever else, or you can easily layer them by finding something else with the same BPM, relative BPM. It makes mixing really easy if you do it that way. And most of these sites have all that crap listed before you even download the song, so you can find something you're looking for. But yeah, that's
the royalty-free music has 4 days and 21 hours left.
How many days?
4 days, 21 hours.
Okay. So yeah, if you want that, go get on it.
It's sending back telemetry that makes no sense. It's still doing everything that it's supposed to do, but there's a glitch probably caused by cosmic radiation screwing with something inside of it. and it's sending back information saying the instrument is doing this thing, and it's totally nonsensical because it's obviously not.
Didn't we talk about this particular scenario not too long ago?
Maybe.
About one of the probes going silent and then coming back, and every day it spouts nothing but gibbers, and slowly the gibbers start to coalesce into a mathematical formula.
I don't remember talking about that, but it sounds like a good story.
That part I just added off the top of my head. I think the original was it just keeps coming back in gibberish, and then it's like, why is it doing that? But I like the idea of it getting more sensical. Like every week, the signal changes and gets more comprehensible. Like there's a
is that kind of like having the guy that's insane go visit his therapist while his therapist is on vacation, and as his therapist gets more crazy, he becomes more sane? Because that was a movie.
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
What about Bob?
Bob's never gone. See?
Yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong.
I sent you a science article talking about the unobservable universe.
I didn't get a chance to
actually had somebody put this out there in words that I could understand. Right now, according to science, we can see in the visible universe about 2 trillion galaxies. That's what the article said.
That's a small number.
Over the time frame that the universe will likely be in existence, that will expand to 4.7 trillion galaxies as more light gets to us. And I think they said right now, even though the universe is only 13.8 billion years old, the observable universe is something like 63 billion light years across. And that's all very exciting. Welcome to expansion.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
And they said that the unobservable universe, the part that we will never see, is 15 million times as large a volume as what we can currently see. I have no idea how many galaxies that is, but that's a lot of damn galaxies.
Nah. So even if
times the current volume,
even if there was only one sentient race per planet per galaxy, that would still be 4 trillion sentient life forms out there.
Only in the part that we will eventually see.
Right.
I don't know. I thought somebody tossed out 1 quintillion as a number, but that's just a wild ass guess of how many galaxies there are. I can't possibly do any kind of math that would make a real number mean anything with that.
No, you can't. It's like I've said, anything over like 100,000, it doesn't matter anymore. It's not something you fit in your head. I think it's more like 1,000.
1, 2, 3, many. That's how human beings think. and I'm being utterly serious. And I read that somewhere in a book somewhere that's how humans think. 1, 2, 3, many.
3 is a magic number in every culture. Every freaking culture. Ugh. You don't use the Oxford comma with an and unless you have at least 3 items.
So, does the idea of the unobservable universe give you ideas of stories to write?
Fuck yes. And I would say that I would venture to say that if I'm able to write the next leg of Soul and Beyond, we will discover that I already kind of came up with this or realized this. So I've kind of flirted with it and left kind of breadcrumbs here and there. But yeah, there's things I want to delve into that because it is an exciting place to foray into, because it also means that you could have Cthulhu standing outside just knocking at the door.
There's a devil in... Oh, sorry. I'm having more... Metallica.
And just because we can't observe them doesn't mean they can't observe us.
They would have to have something that utilizes something faster than light.
Right.
Because light speed is the limitation.
Right, but if you're talking about universe, I would say that the rules can bend.
That's quite a bit of hand wavium in there. We haven't found yet anything other than tachyons that seemingly go faster than light.
Yeah, even tachyons are mostly theoretical. Yeah, I get that. What I'm saying is it's possible that physics works differently in another universe. That's what I'm saying. Why not? We're already in hand wavium territory. Let's just go full tilt hog wild.
What was it? I read one story where they were talking about something that was a threat to humanity. And basically, the way they found out about it is the stars in a certain direction started going out. Their light stopped arriving.
Right.
Just over a small spot and then started growing larger and larger.
It casts a shadow. Something casts a shadow on you. Not good. It's a bad thing. Usually a bad thing. Very bad thing.
Either that or it was destroying the stars as it came.
That too. Read Peter F. Hamilton's Commonwealth Saga for a book that's kind of about that. It's really kind of interesting. It's a fascinating premise. Really fascinating premise. Yeah, I agree that this might be a nightmare for network engineers, even artificially intelligent ones. Yeah, we don't need that shit. No.
Wait till the CEO says, I'd like to go ahead and see those all detailed out for me. Send me a spreadsheet.
Hello, IT. Can we get a quantum computer to crunch this shit? Oh my God. I agree, Nathan. Taco Bell is a threat to humanity. Unless you're getting out of the bar. There's something about 2 a.m. that makes Whataburger and Taco Bell almost impossible to resist. If you can find a Taco Bell open at 2 a.m. It's usually why we end up at Whataburger, because, they're still open. Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. The primes in the Commonwealth Saga are evil. Yes, they are. They're fucking bad news. Bad news. That's like, that book just did not go where I thought it was going to go. When you got to the end of the first book, you're like, wait a minute. What the hell did you just do? Oh, he was a bastard. The franchise wars. Okay, so this would be very streety. Taco Bell and Wendy's or KFC or whomever the franchises go after each other in space because they own like certain sections and they're trying to branch out, and restaurants are getting attacked by pirates. Says possibilities if you do it right. Sarcasm and camp. That would be perfect.
So one of the other things that I've discovered, Paul, is even though I've been writing on a novel in this series, in fact, I've written 2 novels in this series in a row. I just started the 3rd one in a row that I'm writing. And even though I've been immersed in the story, the first 4 chapters were like pulling teeth to get it set up. You said, oh, that makes sense. And I'm like, who the hell are you and what have you done with Paul?
We sort of kind of talked about this last week in different context. They haven't seen that show yet. The Freebooters Chicken Alliance. Yeah, you could totally steal it from freaking Firefly, man. Make the good guys, the KFC refugees or whatever. That'd be fucking hilarious. McDonald's owns everything now, man. Unlucky Fried Kitten. Oh my God.
Where's that boot button? We don't get to talk trash about cats on this. Not even joking. Where's my boot button?
Oh fuck. Oh my God. That was good. That was good. I'm glad
there was somebody put a screenshot of a supposed advertising thing where it was talking about upcoming things they're talking about, rescue kittens barbecue sauce. And it kind of like fit together and you're like, nope, that's not what you meant.
Oh no, that's totally what the meme meant. That's totally what the meme meant. Yeah, this might not be what you think it means. Might not mean what you think it means. Oh my God, that's awful. What do you mean too soon, Matt?
When it comes to cats, it's always too soon.
Oh my God. Oh, that was so wrong. You're a bad human being and I love you for it. Oh my God. Okay, so we got derailed. All right. If you only write standalones, you are never going to have this problem. Or if you have it, you're not going to realize you even have it because you've moved on to something else from the last book. When you write successive books in the same series, I think you can get burned out. And when you get burned out, you're trying to find ways to entertain yourself. And therefore, the first few chapters are kind of hellish because you have all this baggage you're dragging around with you. And part of your brain is, can we just go deal with the baggage? But you've got to go do all this while you're pushing this. And so you're stuck the first few chapters dealing with the baggage rather than writing what you want to write, which is the fun stuff. You know, you're catching up to the last book, reminding everybody, talking about consequences since the last action that they did, the last, whatever climax was of the last book, and stuff that you didn't resolve in the denouement of the last book. So that's the stuff that's boring to deal with.
I'm not sure that I don't have these problems when I'm writing something brand new. I think that part of my problem is more I've got to frame everything so that it's appropriately starting, so that it's interesting and I'm giving enough information. And with a series, it is a matter of reframing it to start again because you're picking a new place to start again. And that adds a layer onto it, but I'm not sure that it ever goes away for me. Anytime I've started a brand new series, those first few chapters have been tough.
It doesn't go away from me. It's the same thing with every book. This is why, you sit there and shake your finger at me when I throw stuff away and I rewrite, but it's because it's not working. Something is not working.
This is why we're going to kick Nathan right out of the chat on this.
Nathan says, skip the baggage and get to the fun stuff, then go back and add it in later.
I don't write that way.
No, he doesn't. I can and have before. I can't believe they're talking about eating insects in the chat. That totally derailed me. I should not look at chat.
That's okay. I know a special forces guy that liked to eat roaches.
Oh my God, I'm a horror writer and holy crap. What the fuck was I saying before you completely derailed me with roaches and God only knows what else it was before that? I know what it was. Or start in the middle like I've done before. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Sue. I think there's when those first 4 chapters aren't working for me, I know that there's something wrong. And usually it's because I'm not comfortable with how I've outlined the universe or something radically wrong. And how I've outlined the universe also affects the characters. The characters have to change depending on how some of the technology works or, what their job is, things like that. So this latest incarnation I'm working, I think is the right way. And I've got like 5 pages of notes. That's why I think this is probably the one. But I've changed already what the ending is going to be. Unintentional sexual tension of valor. What the fuck?
That sounds like, a medal you should get in the Marines in your universe, Paul.
No, absolutely not. It sounds like the title for a porno is what it sounds like. Only we'll probably have, well, never mind. Let's say, there's another one. Another suggestion, write the baggage in note form to get it over with, do the fun stuff, then go back and add the baggage in the second draft.
You know what happens then? Then you get a John Ringo moment where they publish a book and it says, insert big explosions here.
Bang, right there.
Yep.
Right there. Simultaneously, as you were saying it, the comment popped up. As you were saying it. Oh, keystroke medium meme. Gotcha. Fuck. If those things aren't working, then I pretty much have to bail, and I've learned I have to bail rather than trying to go back and make it work. For me, it's almost better just to start over, and that means that I'm very slow to start the book, but it also means once I really get going, it goes. But I outlined the first 5 chapters of this one. I changed things around that weren't working, changed the environment, and now I had an idea of how the thing would end, and I had an idea of how the middle would go, but now I'm not so sure. And I think I've actually made things more interesting the way I'm going to do this. Because if you have a ghost in the machine, the first thing the ghost is going to want to do is control other machines. That'll be the easiest thing for it to do. So if it's trying to learn about the meat sacks that surround it, controlling the machines and siphoning off the data from the machines to analyze it and figure out what you are is going to be of utmost importance. That can lead to some very interesting things happen, especially if it's trying to change physiology. So I have a really good fucking conceit for this book now. And I think because of that, I'm going to change quite a bit of it. I was actually putting down crew, members of crew, and calculating mass of human beings and all sorts of other crap last night. It was kind of scary, actually.
One of the things that I found that changes the trajectory of my stories, I'll have a pretty decent idea of where the story is going. And then there'll just be one little detail that my brain prompts up and I'll insert into the story that changes things, that you go, well, why the hell is that? And then in the search of that answer, it takes the story's plot in a new direction. For example, without being very spoilery at all, in the series that I'm currently writing, they come up against some robotic controlled war machines that do ground fighting. You know, you see those robotics things that they create nowadays that, look like they're all scary and jump around and dance and do all this other stuff. These are 6-legged, more alien looking things, more like a spider almost, with a big gun in there that shoots. And as I was having the Marines do the fighting against them, they found out that one of the weak spots in the armor was behind the sensor panel, right in the very front of the machine, pointing toward you.
Whoops.
And they're like, okay, well, that's unusual.
I dare you to take a headshot. I dare you.
Well, it doesn't have a head. It's all body. So it's just center mass shot, and you're hitting something important.
Doesn't that make them kind of easy to take down?
Well, they're pretty fast and they dodge around a bit, so it's not as easy as one might think, but it makes it possible, like a sniper could one-shot one of these things.
Gotcha.
And once they finished the fight and took it apart, their technology expert is going, I don't understand this. This is all alien technology, so I can't say that I understand what it does, but these look like civilian components. It's not hardened against an EMP at all. It looks like somebody took something that was civilian manufacture and stuck a gun in it.
Oh, I mean like the Russian drones, basically.
That may very well have been the thing that prompted me to do this. And I inserted that into the story. And then that started the question of, okay, now I have to figure out why it's like that. And I'm not going to explain why it's like that, but it changed the trajectory of the story because now I had to explain those things.
Right.
And going forward in the story, that's going to be important later on. And it all came across basically because of a whim. In one scene, I wrote that and okay, story has changed.
So then did you have to go back and start futzing with the beginning?
No, not at all. See, one of the benefits of writing in a linear fashion like me is when I introduce a gotcha like this, it doesn't have to change anything in the beginning because they didn't know about it. It only changes the things that come after it later. And I only put things in there that make sense with what I've already written. So I've never had to really go back and rewrite very much at all. Now, it's not to say that during editing, I won't insert a sentence or two here and a sentence or two there to strengthen something. Maybe you put a little bit more foreshadowing that was there, but that's easy.
If I was really deranged, what I would do is I would post all the forgotten drafts of Station 3 to my Patreon. And people would laugh their asses off about the differences between the book that I originally had in my brain versus the book that actually got published. Oh, Nathan took the no head, all body. He took that dirty. I'm shocked.
Yeah. Now, if you were going to take that dirty, Nathan, I'd have went ahead and put the weak spot with no armor right in the back. Everyone, line up for the sphincter shot.
Oh my God.
Sir, they're armored. Bring out the anal penetrator round. It's an AP round. That's armor penetrating, not anal penetrating, damn it.
I have so many questions and I don't want to go there.
Boy,
we're back to Chuck Tingle.
He is going to be so mad that she missed this.
Oh, thank you, Lucas. I wish somebody had also written the third Dead Space game too. It did not turn out. I blame Activision for it, or EA. No, not EA. Yeah, it was EA, I think. Whoever made it, put pressure on the team. Yeah, you got us back to Chuck Tingle. How did you do that? How did you manage to drag us back to that?
It was Nathan's comment.
Oh,
taking it dirty. So okay, well, we'll go there.
Well, now we've been released into the depths and the sewers.
What are you doing with that armor-piercing round, Marine? KY, sir. It makes it easier to get a kill.
Have you ever started a book in the middle of like an action scene?
Usually, I can't say that I ever have. I think that starting in the middle of an action scene is not a way to get depth of character, and that's not my writing style. So that's probably why I've never done it.
Okay. I have at times started a book like that just to figure out and get it in my head, and also gave me a chance to give the characters voices. And once I did that, I was able to go back and write the rest of it to not start in the middle of an action scene. There are very few books I can think of. Oh my God. Nathan says he wants me to write the love triangle between Cthulhu, the Space Marine, and the college professor. I have so many questions again. Good thing I'm going to edit this because then I can go back and look at it and go, Anyway, as you were saying, before you did that to me.
I've finished my saying. My writing style does not do good with dropping in media res in the middle of doing something frenetic, because I want to go ahead and set up the normal. The way I learned to write was to go ahead and start the character showing their world as it was before you go ahead and yank the carpet out from underneath them. Show the normal world, then yank the carpet.
Yeah, it's pretty much fiction. And if you've already yanked, I would say if you've started the book by yanking the carpet out from under them, or it's already been yanked out from under them, you better have another carpet. I have multiple carpets in my books usually. So does Terry.
You know what? I think, your idea of what you do isn't a carpet. It's the guy that thinks it's all funny to try to jump onto a fast running
so it's
treadmill.
So what you're saying is
try to run and you just go punk.
Paul, your writing is a lot like your writing style is a lot like an episode of Jackass. Okay.
JR is right. I did start in the middle of a space battle scene. So Empire of Bones did start off with that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been 14 books ago, and in 8 years, I forgot.
I guess in a way I started an action scene. Well, not really. Even in Garrett's Inferno, we see him set fire to stuff, but that doesn't. He's not like lighting a torch to it when we start. We get there slowly. So I guess that really doesn't count. I don't think I've ever started a book in like that either. Not enough fluids. Brains, Brawn, and the Unholy, a love story. Ah, yeah. Yeah. Take the Space Marine from Doom, mix it up with one of the professors from Lovecraft, and yeah, you got something going on there. You got something going on there. Cthulhu's in love. I did see a Japanese dating game that is you're actually trying to date the Eldritch ones. Going on dates with the Eldritch ones. It is fucked up. Really fucked up. Just bad news. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, Fight Club is the best pulling the rug out moment ever, but it pulls the rug out from under the viewer, not the characters. I disagree. It completely pulls the rug out from under our main character, who's not what's his name? Who's not the lunatic. Multiple Carpets is a good band name. Yes. That's the name of my next polka band. Multiple Carpets.
Cthulhu in the public domain.
Yes.
I think that it may be.
Yes. Everything Lovecraftian is in the public domain as far as I know. Which is why everybody's able to use Cthulhu now, completely ad hoc crazy. And now everybody's making movies about his work and everything else without having to pay anybody shit. And they can change it however they want.
And they're almost to that with Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
All of the novels are out, but they're just a couple of short stories.
And Winnie the Pooh. So here's the deal, folks. Here's the deal. One day soon, if it hasn't happened already, there's going to be an anthology of short stories that is going to want you to combine all 4 of those properties. Better start writing right now. Think about how you can incorporate all 4 of those things in the same story, all 4 of those properties.
Go ahead and spell out the 4 properties to be sure that we get it.
Sherlock Holmes, Winnie the Pooh, H.P. Lovecraft, and shit, now I've forgotten the 4th. Damn it. There's another one that just popped up. Okay, 3. Get those 3 together. There's a 4th one that just came up, and I can't remember who it is. Huh. Oh, God. Anyway. You enter a bar in Innsmouth and a well-groomed deep one is sitting there giving you the look. What do? Okay, Terry, you cannot possibly tell me you don't have an RPG like that.
There are probably a lot of RPGs like that.
I said you.
I don't have one like that. No, I'm not a horror guy. My RPGs don't tend to relate to horror.
The horror? That's horror. Not horror. That's just craziness. That's satire.
Now, I've played Call of Cthulhu as a role-playing game before, back in the 80s when I was in the Army. And I got to tell you, the GM that did that, he was brilliant and very scary in the way he did it. There's nothing quite like playing a horror-based RPG being run by somebody that is a reformed Satanist.
Interesting. Tell me more. Go on.
It's just, you never quite knew where he was going to go. You never quite knew. And this is not a thing about his character. He was a nice guy. And the Church of Satan is not exactly, it's more hedonistic than anything else.
Yeah,
so
it's not violent.
It's not quite the same thing, but it was a jarring moment to learn that fact about him.
A tentacle, a jar of honey, and mystery. A love story.
We're back to Chuck Tingle.
They're back to Chuck Tingle. Yeah. The thing I like about I think that people can learn the most about love from Lovecraft is the suspense, but more about how to display insanity of a character going insane and the warping of reality. He does such a great job. Yeah, great games where you don't get winners, just the occasional survivor. Sounds like a black book. Now, wait a minute. Well, we don't know how Oceania is going to end.
Yes, we do. Everyone is going to die. Who are you trying to fool? This audience knows you.
Those of you that are patrons who are listening to Oceania, how many characters do we have left? And we didn't start out with that many. Anyway, I shouldn't say that. There's the occasional survivors thing is kind of fun. It's like playing Dead by Daylight. You expect to die. And every character that walks into a Lovecraft RPG or Lovecraftian setting with Eldritch gods can expect to die once they realize what's going on. So surviving is just a bonus. But these are usually people who have no choice but to try and survive because the alternative is absolutely ridiculously, horribly terrifying. Even more terrifying than what they'd have to face to get out of it. We have our first real cat hookup. Gotcha. Where she wasn't carried by her daddy. You stay over there. Thank you. Let's talk to Shadow and convince him to behave himself. What the hell? Jason says we had a DM that enjoyed killing characters so much we used to bring 3 extra character sheets ready to go. That's mean, man. That's just cold. Kill everybody. I've never written a book where I killed everybody. I think that's right. I think I can say that.
I'm pretty sure the only person that I know that's done that would be Scott Sigler.
And he went back and changed it.
Yeah, when you get to the end of the book and you have to write the end of it from somebody else's point of view because you've ran out of living bodies, that's a problem.
That is pretty bad. Yeah. Oh my God. Just so bad.
Oh God, what was the RPG where there were 6 clones? It was Paranoia.
Yep, you and William got it at the same time.
It's been a long time since I played Paranoia. The computer is your friend.
Matt, that's one of the things that I've always kind of have a problem with. It's like you never kill everyone, otherwise there's nobody to tell the story. And I've seen a lot of books where they've broken that conceit, like Paco's story by Larry Heineman. It's the ghosts of his unit to tell his story. And so the narrators always refer to themselves while they're telling the story, which makes it a really interesting idea. And of course, then you are kind of free to do what you want with the character because the narrators are immortal, presumably. It was an interesting conceit. It is a conceit. It is kind of a gimmick, so to speak. My father and I had a conversation about that, Matt. Yes. Do it RPG style. Have the MC invulnerable, but the rest have a D100 sheet with some number stuff. No. Handmaid's Tale? Yeah, it did. There's just a lot of conceits there where you have it's either epistolary, found novel or found book or found set of letters, etc. ad infinitum. Then you can use the conceit where the story happens in media res, and we go back and we find out about the beginning of it, or the story is told in reverse order. Those are all conceits, all gimmicks, and all perfectly fine if they're done well. You don't see them too often because they're really hard to do. I think they're some of the more difficult things to pull off in fiction and do well. And I would say the same thing for movies and TV. They're both extremely difficult to do right. That's my opinion on that subject, but I think trying to do things a little more less avant-garde is going to be helpful to you until you're kind of an old hat and want to experiment. So it's just me. Oh, Tony says the audiobook included tape recorder noises. Interesting. I like that. It's actually audio drama-ish. Can we talk about the insanity of how Frankenstein was framed, told?
Mary Shelley, she can write a story.
Why is it insane? Spoiler alert, the monster tells the story. If I remember correctly, we were getting the story from the captain of the boat that runs across Frankenstein dying, and then Frankenstein's monster shows up and then relates. Oh, it's Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein himself who relates the story, but who's telling the story is actually the captain. It's such a fucked up thing. That's why he's talking about this being the bonkers framing.
There was a story that I read written by Fred Saberhagen, who wrote the Berserker series that called the Holmes Dracula Affair. And it's just exactly what you thought it was.
Of course. That does sound like something he would do. I understand what you're talking about because it's a recursive tree. The story is being told to the captain, but the story is by Frankenstein. So we're missing Frankenstein's monster. So then we have the monster telling his story to Dr. Frankenstein, telling the story to the captain. And then at some point we have the captain being told the story by the monster being told about Frankenstein it's just like, it is recursive to Helen Gone about whose point of view we're actually getting from the story. So I get what he's talking about, but it works. It works. It's hard to do today because it just would feel like a total cop out. I think it'd be really hard to do today.
Writing styles change.
True.
I can hardly begin to imagine what they're going to be like in 50 years from now.
Yeah, but I don't think that was even something that was done all that normally back then. I don't remember any other literary work that had that kind of framing around it. That was that depth ridden. Yeah, captain telling his sister in a letter after being told. Yeah, it's. I've forgotten some of it. It's been a long time.
Was John Carter was like that?
Really?
It's been a very long time since I've read the actual Burroughs books. So I don't remember it, but the movie was kind of, sort of, maybe. The movie was really shortchanged. It was actually pretty decent.
I'm just not interested in the property. Anything fighting dinosaurs and what looks like primitive times just doesn't.
That was not John Carter. John Carter was the Mars stories.
Right.
Burroughs also did the To the Center of the Earth thing, fighting the dinosaurs. That's a different set of stories.
Okay. Maybe I got them confused. Regardless, I never read those. I really had no interest.
Yeah, that sounds just about right, like what I remember it.
Oh my God. One of those, huh? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nabokov's Pale Fire. We get the poem Pale Fire, and then we get the literary critique written by the poet's next door neighbor and self-ascribed biggest fan, who's obviously shit bat bonkers. And you don't figure out just how bonkers he is until you kind of get to the end and see what's going on. But it is one of those deals where you have about the most unreliable narrator that has ever existed. It's wonderful. Great book. Great book. I know you frown on literary works, but it is a great, fantastic book. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about this, I think, an episode or two ago. Some of those books you enjoyed back in your youth, you go back and you read them now and you'll just be cringing.
I picked up the first book in the Gore series again to go ahead and read it. It's been 45 years since I read it, and it was old then. I still haven't started it, but I think I'm cringing a little bit thinking about, just how it's going to be.
It might be almost unrecognizable. It really might be. Oh my God. The narrator in the audiobooks for the John Carter stuff sounds like Arlo Guthrie. Okay.
Is that a bad thing?
I can't decide if that's a good or bad thing. You tell us. We don't know. We've got no fucking clue. Oh God, don't send Terry on a book hunt.
No, I'm just saying if it was on the top of the stack up there. And it's not.
I really liked Heinlein. Sorry to say, I find it kind of cringy. Yeah, I get that too. I think if you read anything from 50s on, or in that period between 50s and now, and even now, you see a lot of the attitudes kind of warp over time. That was one of the things I was really interested in about taking those literature classes, especially foreign literature, about times in through those different time periods, was getting a flavor of the ways those societies viewed themselves and how they differed just over 10 years in some cases, and really affected how things were written and really affected the style of stories that were told. And that's where you got some of the people who kind of pushed the envelope and got in a lot of trouble for it, like the guy who wrote Sister Carrie, which by today's standards is ridiculously dull, but back then was considered extremely racy for a lot of reasons that just don't make sense now. You have to put it in the context of the time. But a lot of the things that character faces are really cringy, like ridiculously cringy. And of course, the book was written a long time ago. But still, yes, I understand how you would get that reaction. Give women the vote? Are you insane?
If you read the original stuff from E. Doc Smith, it's very cringeworthy. My problem is, in my taste in stories, is that I discovered most of my science fiction when I was in the middle 70s, and I bought it at a used bookstore, which meant that it was a couple of decades older usually. And so, yeah, there was lots of really questionable things going on back then. And even then you're like going, I'm not so sure about this, but you read the story anyway because it's awesome. And then you read it 40 years later and you go, yeah, that's not so awesome anymore.
Yeah, it's yeah. And we've talked about this before. The other thing with writing hard science fiction or science fiction of any sort is anything you prognosticate will be so incredibly wrong or backwards in only 10 years. And people will go, what the fuck is this?
You just need to embrace it. Just go for it.
If I go write a story that has to take place in the 90s, think about how that frees you up. There's no cell phones. Or very rarely do people have cell phones. Very rarely do people have car phones. They're ridiculously expensive. People had pagers. Maybe. So it changes everything in how you could frame a horror story or how you do anything, because you've removed that constant influx of information. So much easier to write. So much easier to write. As to now, we have to find a reason to cut off communication. Why don't the cell phones work? What cell tower?
Obviously, it's the Illuminati. That's why it doesn't work.
Yeah, because it's too busy spreading COVID-19. Yeah,
it's been co-opted by the Ministry of Truth.
Yeah. So I think that really is the crux of that. It's just all these different tropes that you can use to write the story however you want to write it. You just kind of go for it. But cringe effect, looking back at the old stuff, yeah, it's kind of bad in places. It was bad even in college. I mean, there are some, if you know your Shakespeare, there are some very uncomfortable lines in Othello. And they're there purposely. And it fits with how the people think about the character. But still pretty cringe if you know what the vernacular is for the time. Oh, well, you see, this is going to get more and more difficult. Set the story of Rulesville where they have no cell coverage, then have millennials as the MCs. Ah! I don't know if millennials would be that bad. The Zoomers might be really bad.
See, the problem is that we say millennial, but we really mean Zoomer at this point.
Exactly. Got to remember them.
We've got our
in their 30s.
Just like the 80s is 20 years ago. We think that millennials are forever linked at that age, and they're now older than that.
And they forever think we're 70. So that's how that works. Yeah. That's a common problem that you have today. If you try and write a suspense thriller or something like that, where it would make life so easy to cut off communication. How do you make communications fail? You have to come up with some kind of reason for it. And then there's the tropes, right? You get the storm, which I've abused twice. You get the storm, or you get some other environmental event that kind of coincides with it. You get fuckery afoot, or maybe the environment they're in just doesn't allow it. Maybe there's electromagnetic interference. Maybe there's too much radiation in the area, whatever. You can wipe out the cell phone coverage, but having instant communication to everybody is always a problem.
I can't begin to tell you how many books without covers I found at the back of the bookstore one time.
They're just not supposed to do anything. Aren't they supposed to shred them at that point?
No, they're supposed to tear the cover off and then dispose of them.
I guess they were disposed to you.
I got some of them, they were all right. I read some.
Holy shit, JR's right. Millennials are in their 40s. Oh my fucking God. Well, you see, JR, I lived in this place and was born and raised in this place called Houston, Texas, and we have some of these things called hurricanes. You may have heard of them before, and tornadoes. And when you spent weeks and weeks and weeks without fucking power in 100-degree heat, you kind of hate storms in a big, big way and blame them for lots of shit. So that's what you get.
Yeah, Tony says they sent the covers back to prove you destroyed the book. I know that.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Calling Gen Zers Zoomers is so cringe. Yeah, we've been offending so many people because we don't know our rules. We're old.
Who said? Oh, there it is. Sue said that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it offensive? They call me a
know.
boomer, so seems like fair is fair.
Oh man. Anyway, the generation gap, that's always gonna be fun. Last couple of concerts I've been to, the generation gap was apparent and yet not apparent. It was kind of funny. I mean, calling us boomers. The Gen Zers are calling the Zoomers boomers in the gaming chat. So Zoomer boomers, boomer Zoomers.
Sue is right. I am a boomer. I am the last year of boomers. I am the youngest boomer you will ever meet.
And I'm smack in the middle of the millennials. Or actually, I'm toward the front of the millennials. Or no, millennials. Sorry, Gen Xers. Good God, what am I saying? You brought up bad covers on a recent cast. Just look at this old Tor stuff. Woof.
If you look at any old book, you're going to see a lot of weird art.
How about the Bane covers from way back when?
I could reach back here and grab just one of the old Perry Rodans, and you can see some weird covers.
Yeah. So the artwork has definitely changed over time. If you go to like the supermarket and you go look at the tabloid racks where they keep all the mass market paperbacks and everything else, you'll see some ancient fucking covers. That is an ancient fucking cover.
Randomly chosen one. So there you are. Gosh, when is this from? Like the 70s?
60s or 70s. It's probably from 1981.
1973.
73, okay.
It's probably a reprint.
He probably is. My partner is a birder that don't tell her that I'm in smack range. Yikes. There's actually a trend I've seen. I don't know if it's just one press that's doing it, but they've got and I've met, I was on a cast with the artist writer who does it. He makes these stock book covers and does this wild frayed edge thing, so it looks like, it makes a paperback cover look like it's an old abused paperback. It's a pretty cool thing. The problem is I've seen it way too much now. It like it's become its own meme at this point, but it was kind of nice to see it for a while because it made it look like a really old book, which was cool. I heard a cat.
Screamer is complaining. She wanted out. Now she wants back in.
Oh,
this is how cats work.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I'm very shocked that a cat would want out and then want back in. There's no cat in my house that ever would do such a thing. Currently, he's sleeping, so we're getting a nice respite from his madness for once. He was really good last week too. I think he was good for this live show before that. He's no longer like playing Tarzan on the cables, which is always a good thing. Oh, Lord. Well, what are some questions y'all have? What do y'all know? No cat buttholes. Dude, if you got cats, there's always a cat butthole. You can't get away from a big cat butthole. It's just going to happen. You can't get away from it. Terry's house is full of ass.
JR, I am absolutely never going to forget this. He said that he's either the last year of Generation X or the first year of millennials. I am now forever going to call him a millennial.
Oh, boy. What's with the word possum on your wall, Paul?
It's by his trophy thing of possums.
It says beware of possum. It's a caution sign. There was a story read at Balticon which had me as a vendor of fried possum testicles.
Because that's absolutely something I would sell.
So after that Balticon, suddenly loads of possum paraphernalia began to show up at my house. And I already have the name for my LLC that's sort of based on that. But anyway, yeah, so I have a ton of possum stuff. I need to actually organize this shit back there. Oh, any update or reversion of rights for your stuff, Paul? July 1st, The Black comes out, re-released. And that'll be the beginning. The audiobook begins production in June 1st. In fact, I got an email from them while we were talking here. I'll need to go check on that. So the I've got that series back completely. So the plan is that I'm going to do a rapid release where put one of the books out every 3 months, which means I have not too long before I have to finish up Oceania, and then I have to write Extinction and have all that ready when we comes time to get those books done as well. You'll have to DM me if you want my address. I'm not going to shout it on here. Well, you nuts.
How did everybody else get your address to send you stuff?
Because if you've bought books from me, my return address is on there.
Oh, there you go.
So,
you know, the one that I think is pretty funny, the reason I asked that is because for a while author Mark Wandry was getting stuffed unicorns and stuff like that, various unicorn or it was My Little Pony stuff, just randomly show up in the mail. And it was driving him insane because he could not figure out how whoever it was had figured out where he lived. It was just driving him bonkers.
Well, before
My Little Pony stuff.
The first stuff that I got ever, and I can't remember, it may have been Ponce Metal or it was Thomas Reed. One of them did this. Because of a detail I put in Closet Treats, they hacked my address. So they looked for Paul Cooley and Dick Dickerson and bang, got my address, figured out that's Paul's house. And then I started getting shit and it was creepy. It was really creepy.
That eventually stopped though, didn't it?
Oh yeah. Well, there was one UFO, and I'm not going to recount that story. I've recounted that in another episode, but yeah, there was one UFO that was a little disturbing. Poor Wandry. Do you have any rules of thumb for point of view based on the age of the character you're following in a story?
I'm not sure what rule of thumb you want to have. It really depends on the story.
I think maybe what you're looking for is, I think it's much more difficult for you to write in first person as a child. Third person is going to be a lot easier because then you can still it through your filter. If you're asking if you should be writing a story in first person for a child, maybe not a good idea. Maybe an okay idea. Depends. If you have kids, probably not a bad idea. If you're old fuckers like me and Terry, probably not a good idea.
I wrote a story with a point of view of a 13-year-old girl who promptly murdered Paul, JR, and I forget who the third person was, the one that came up with the possums. Who was that?
Keith Hughes.
Killed all three of them. And JR published it.
Yeah, because he likes people killing him for some freaking reason. Are you planning a hardback set of black books? It's been discussed. I can't guarantee that's going to happen. You need to plan on it not happening. Anyone know JR's address? A friend wants to send him a few blow-up dolls.
It's a waste of a good blow-up doll.
That is. I agree. Okay, more like checking motivations against the age. Okay. All right. I got what you're talking about. What do you think, Terry?
I think that you should write the character that you want to do. If you feel like you can grasp the motivations that are necessary for the story, then it works. Mine was a short story, so I could contain what the character's interaction was. I could control the events that the character reacted to. So it was a post-apocalyptic story, so I could afford to be, a little rough.
Yeah.
It's just the way it was.
So motivations are going to change depending on the child's experience. You're going to have that sense of alienation for the adults that may change motivations. They may do shit just to annoy the adults. Oh my God. JR starts a blow-up doll review channel on YouTube. No, please not.
I wonder if he gets a commission on each sale.
I wonder too. Really wondering about this. Because, I'd really love to send Terry one of those just because. Make his wife wonder. You've got a pine cone with googly eyes. Oh, that's right. Oh, God. Yeah. You and me will talk. Anyway, I think you have to put yourself down to those motivations and look at the motivations for that. That would be more difficult to keep track of, but same thing with an older person. What does an older person want? They want comfort. They want security. They want stability. Those are going to be their motivations.
Or to go out like a blowtorch.
A child is more than likely going to want excitement. They're going to want new things. They're going to want all of that while they're feeling very alienated from everything, besides maybe their friends. JR asks, can indie authors do box sets for print runs?
Not through any of the places that I know, because they don't do the cardboard that they go into.
Yeah, you get somebody else to manufacture that. There are actually companies that do that, that will manufacture the cardboard case for you. And they'll get the dimensions completely right. So, yeah, I would have to kickstart something like that if we we're going to do that. And I really want to do something like that on a limited print run. I'd have to have guaranteed orders for that one. Blow up to all equal next novelty police breath test. Yeah, I have the cop pull out. Blow into this. Oh my God. 3 guesses where the blowhole is. Anyway, or maybe there's 4 different versions of that doll. Yeah, Howard Taylor's done it for his stuff, but that's comic books, and maybe he had multiple companies. Yeah. I think that once you do one, you're probably going to figure out who does it right, because you're going to go with whoever does it wrong the first time, or not to your satisfaction. So I think you kind of have to do it once or twice. But those folks have enough. Like Howard's got enough people helping him that I'm sure it's not really that big of a deal. He's got a ton of people helping him. What is that?
It's Harry Dresden.
Oh, okay. I see it now. All right. That's not a picture of Harry. He's missing the hat.
Yeah, it's not quite accurate. I'm not sure if the hat's on there somewhere, but yeah. I'm sure it's probably illegally done by somebody else, because I didn't realize that was a thing when I bought this. So he's probably not seen a damn penny from it, which it makes me sad.
If they don't come with a cardboard box, maybe artwork that spans all the books, so they look cool on a shelf. That I want done.
Yeah, some people have done that.
Yeah. In fact, I think Pondy and I have kind of talked about that a little bit for the Black Series. That would be kind of awesome. That would be kind of awesome. That would be really awesome if we could pull that off. The version of the hour is 22-minute pot test. Blowing at the kazoo.
You know that's got to be on the internet somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Just blow to this. Keep blowing. Keep blowing.
How to make friends and influence cops. There you go. That's what you want. That's what you want. Wait a minute. In the book, he doesn't wear the hat anyway. It's just on the covers. Are you sure about that?
You know, I kind of think that may be true.
I thought he had a hat.
His duster is the thing that he wears. I don't know about the hat.
You might be right, Tony. Huh. He needs a hat. I've always thought of him as wearing a hat. Always, always, always. Seems like the right uniform for a wizard. Wizard needs a hat. Huh. Oh, my God.
More questions, people? More questions? We've already proven that we'll talk about anything. So, just fire away.
I'm sorry. I'm still looking at comments and they're just wrong. They're just so wrong. These people. There's just something wrong with them. So the whole pantsing versus plotting, and then last week we talked about roadstering.
Yep.
I have to get that episode out so we can talk about roadstering.
Never heard that phrase before, but I can see it.
Oh, yeah. Ubuntu. Right now. Ask me in another 6 months after I've done some damage. We'll see how that works. But that's mainly because it's the ROS reference distribution. So that's why I'm using it. I'm not answering that question. Nobody should answer that question. What are the benefits of putting a kazoo in somebody's ass? I mean, why are you asking these questions? Why are you asking this?
Sometimes hearing the question is much more entertaining watching Paul on the spot trying to answer it. Oh, there's the answer for you.
Yeah. Oh. Musical slaves, more like talking about the bondage. What is on your writing dance card for the rest of the year, Terry?
A lot of books in the Last Hunter series and probably one in the Empire series in the second half.
I'm grabbing the wrong ones. That's it. You're boring. Easier to hum your safe word than fart it. You know, I got nothing. I have no response to that whatsoever. My writing for the rest of the year planned anyway is the new novel I'm working on right now while I'm finishing up Oceania. I say finishing up, I may be only halfway through. And yeah, I admit that. And then once I get that Oceania done, I need to get to work on Extinction while I write another book. So the goal is to get 2 more books out this year. Apart from the plan is to get 1 more book out this year apart from the re-releases, and then get another book finished so it's in the pipeline. So finishing up Oceania, only the patrons are going to have seen that. It won't have been published. It'll be there for at least a year. It'll take before we get to it, and Extinction will be at least 1.5 years from now, depending how big that is. So I have that amount of time to finish Oceania and finish up Extinction. So I think I could do that. But right now I'm working on something new and old at the same time. So I'm having fun with it. We'll see how it works. But Station 3, I learned a lot of lessons during Station 3, and I'm going to carry all of that shit over into this next book, which was all about pacing, was all about hitting the beats. It was all about figuring out what scenes needed to happen in what order to make all of it work while making a really fun character and just having a good time. Fuck the hard sci-fi. Let's go crazy. And that's why Station 3 ended up being a very fun book for me to write, and people seem to like the pacing a lot. So that's what I have learned this year, but I just need to keep doing it. The Zig and Zag novel.
It's true. I've written several of those short stories, and I thought about writing the other, but I don't have time to write them. I don't have time for an anthology right now. I've got an AC to replace. The sad fact is that the 2 books that I have written in the Last Hunter series that have actually been published have equaled the earnings around the same time of a new release and my entire back catalog at the same time.
That's crazy.
So, as any smart author will do, I'm going to stay where the money is.
Which is kind of what I'm doing. Matt says, would that something new have a certain doctor in it with a taste for AIs by any chance? Man, I fucking wish. I have to chase the money right now, which I think is going to be putting out another survival action horror thriller kind of thing. Be very different from Station 3, though, in a lot of ways. But I want to put out another one of those, hoping that Station 3 catches fire. I want to do another one of these and see if I can grab that audience and kind of take them for another ride. And then after that, I don't know what I'm going to do besides work on the black. I haven't really decided yet. It just depends.
One of the things that I found interesting is, as a pantser, writing more and more into the same series in one fell swoop, basically, is the universe is expanding every novel that I write, and the scope of where I can go continues to get larger.
Does that mean that you're having more problems without the constraints?
No, I think it's a good thing. It means that I've introduced things that make it a more wide story that I can write into.
Okay.
I have more options. Every book seems to open the amount of options that I can do even more so.
Yeah. I need to write a non-bottle story at some point. Another non-bottle story. It needs to happen because I've
Here's what I
been doing
think you need
bottle
to
stories
write.
for a while.
I think you need to go ahead and write a tentacled horror killing people on the set of the Kardashians television show.
No. No. In a word, no. Tony asks, speaking of chasing the money, what are the current trends, genres, plots nowadays? I have
no
no
idea.
clue.
I'm not chasing any trends or whatnot. I started writing the stories that I write because I was tired of not seeing the kind of stories that I enjoy. And I'm just lucky that I'm writing something apparently that fills a niche that other people want to read these kind of stories. I've never actually said, oh, I'm going to write this plot or this thing, other than unlike Paul, who says, oh, I've got to put these space Marines in this so they can, sell more books. How'd that work out for you, buddy?
I have some diehard fans. No, and that's not completely true. I had the idea for that book before that. I was going to write just kind of an Aliens clone, but that's just not how things worked. I understand what you're saying. What he's asking though. What are they? What are the current trends? I have no idea. I don't have a clue. I just noticed that there's not enough survival action horror out there, and science fiction survival horror. And God damn it, I wanted to write a book in that vein. I wanted to write a book like that. Had nothing to do with what market there is there. I just wanted to write the book. Pure and simple. Oh, yeah. What? Ah! All right, you go first. DRS.
I'm obviously co-writing because that's what I'm doing right now. So yeah, there is that. But on to you, Paul.
Yeah, JR asks, what are your current thoughts on co-writing? Terry's obviously all over it. I've only co-written once, and that was with Scott Sickler, and that experience was very different for a lot of different reasons than typical co-writing experience. I enjoyed it writing in somebody else's universe. That was fun. The constraints that were there. Plus, I liked the characters. I created the character. Well, I didn't create them, but I made them come to life. The details I put in there made the characters more than just figures on a screen, which is what they were when we met them the first time at Sickler's work. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun because I had carte blanche to put these people together and decide who they were, and that made for some pretty good times. I would do it again under the right circumstances. It would just kind of depend. Just like if EA were to call me up and say, "Hey, we want you to write a Dead Space book," motherfucker, I'm all in. I'm all in, baby. I'm all in. That would be working with somebody else's stuff, and who knows? Maybe it would be called a co-written novel because somebody else came up with the plot. I don't know. I don't know all the different situations, but that's what you got. Oh no. The lack of tornado-based written fiction, and the general terribleness of any tornado movie not named Twister is what got me into this entire mess of being a writer.
Just remember, there were 6 Sharknado movies.
Oh my god. Ah! That's what I get for not paying attention.
What did you do to yourself?
Oh my god. Oh, this is so bad.
I think he had a coffee-related incident.
I had an iced tea accident. A very bad iced tea accident. A terrible, horrible one. Awful. So awful, in fact, I shall have to get a towel. This is bad news. I specifically got this kind of cup so I wouldn't have this problem, and here I am with this problem. Let's see. Except for, remember, for a while it was dystopian fiction. Prior to that, vampires.
It's
Yeah.
true, there was.
Is dystopian still hot?
I don't think so. I think it was Hunger Games that brought dystopian fiction back into its moment of glory. And obviously it was the sparkly vampires that brought, the vampires back into the fray.
I think in a lot of ways, the vampire stuff never went away. It's just it was the fact that somebody brought up something novel that jump-started everybody's real interest, but the stories never stopped. The stories have.
Drew says, there are not enough zeros and commas to make me add a shark to any tornado related fiction he writes. And that's where I put on my Yoda voice and go,
and that is why you fail.
Jelly Gator NATO, really?
Well, yeah, we were gonna do that one.
Yeah, y'all gonna pay me to write Jelly Gator NATO?
No, you're just gonna do it because you're awesome.
I still can't figure out how to make that one work, to be honest. I can't figure out how to make it work.
See, Ready Player One homages seem kind of popular right now. And
yeah, that's true.
It depends on if you're talking about the book or if you're talking about the movie, which were two radically different things.
I think he's talking about the book.
But the whole lit RPG thing, I still primarily listen to and read lit RPG. It's been 5-6 years now, and that's most of what I listen to.
That's mostly because you're a sick, twisted individual.
We gets our enjoyments wherever the Sharknado goes.
So you say, Rabbit. So you say. Oh my God, I think I killed my mouse. I may have killed my mouse. Oh, there it goes. Maybe. Still may have killed it. Not good.
Good job, Paul.
Well, if I haven't fried a piece of technology, I'm doing it wrong. Oh yeah, it's pretty fucked. So I'll be dealing with that later. Reality is dystopian. Yes, that's why nobody's writing. I think that's why dystopia has kind of fallen out of popularity.
Dystopian fiction fell out of favor a bit before our current political crises crashed over us. I want to say that it was the early 2000s that it kind of crashed.
Well, I'd argue that all the zombies.
Well, the early 2010s is what I mean when I said that.
Yeah, I'd argue that all the zombie stuff that was out was all dystopian. So
what did Walking Dead do for zombie stuff? Did it actually spark a renaissance of zombie fiction?
Yeah, but it wasn't. The zombie stuff had been going for a while before Walking Dead came out. Walking Dead just came out and was a pinnacle and just raised it up to 11. But we were already getting zombie stuff, a whole bunch of it. Whose idea was the last Hunter series? Yours or Jeff's?
A number of ideas were pitched, and that was one of the ideas that was pitched, and then it was selected and then shaped dually going forward.
Dually, what does that mean?
Means that the two of us together, said, this might be better if we did this. This might be better if we did that to adjust the concept.
Okay. But who originally came up with the concept?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Were you invited to come up with the concept?
When we first started talking about co-writing, I needed to come up with a number of proposed series that I might write and see what he thought.
Okay. All right. Well, that was kind of the way the Sigler thing worked as well. I came up with a general outline of how everything would work. He blessed it, and then we got back to work. And that's how that experience went, which was fine. Yes, thank you for all the suggestions on how to fix my broken mouse. I will get to that.
You know what I do when I've got problems with broken mice?
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
I reach up under the shelf and I grab one of the spares I have waiting just for when I do it.
Yeah, this is a Logitech trackball. It's a little more expensive than.
I have the El Cheapo mice. I've had this thing. It's just a basic $10 Microsoft mouse. I've had it for probably. I've killed one of them, but I've had these for like a decade. It seems like, and I've killed one, and then I bought some extra mice to replace it when it dies. And then it hasn't died. It's been around forever now.
Tony says, Matt says, Shaun of the Dead was just plain genius. Yes, it was. But who was this said that? Oh, William said Shaun of the Dead wasn't dystopian. Yes, it didn't have time to get dystopian. But I would argue that the aftermath is very dystopian, where they got the zombies wandering around basically as slaves. I think that's pretty dystopian. So I would argue that I would still classify it as dystopian, because when we actually see society, it's still pretty fucked. So there you go. No, I'm not fapping. I'm trying to get the water out of my mouse. Yeah, who uses mice anymore? I use a trackball. What the hell's wrong with you? Yeah, I think it's probably fucked. Oh, wait, light came on. Ah, howdy. I broke in my mouse. It's dead, Jim. It's not good. Anyway, yeah, if you'd like to support me in getting a new mouse, there's always our Patreon. It's been that kind of day. So what other questions you guys got? Yeah, I know, Drew. I'm having that kind of day. I really am. Hopefully I didn't just pour water on a hard drive while I'm at it. See how that works later. If it works later. Treat my OS like Vim. Yeah, I can do that to a certain degree. Yeah, I'm getting on it. I'm getting on it. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm so far behind on everything is ridiculous. What I thought was going to take me 2 hours to fix Station 3 ended up taking a week.
You know, that sounds like a Sammy Hagar song, where you can't drive 55.
Oh, man. The audiobook. I'm so fucking happy I'm getting out of this business. This was my last one. God damn it. I know, JR. I know. We appreciate it. Trust me. Yeah. It's been that kind of a deal.
Any more questions, guys? Because we're about to go ahead and bring this to a close. This is your last chance. Last call. Last call. Now, watch. It's going to be something outrageous.
Tony's trying to start an Emacs Vi war. It's not happening.
He wasn't here when we had the last one.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, we're not doing that again. We're going to ignore that war because there are no winners. There's only wrongers. And more wrongers. What are we watching?
The only show that I'm watching right now is Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek show.
I have been watching some documentaries on serial killers. I think there's a novel brewing somewhere in there, but I went ahead and checked out the new Gacy one on Netflix. That was really good. The Andy Seville one, which was horrifying. Then what was the other one I did? Our Father is the one I just watched last night. That one's really fucking disturbing. I don't know why I've been on this kick, but that's what I've been on, and watching some other horror movies that I am not really watching, having them on for noise here and there. But there's all these movies I want to watch that don't exist. And there's apparently that means I need to write the stories. Of course, I'm watching serial killers. Yeah. But see, all that blends into quantum personality disorder. I have lots of ideas. And if I ever get the time and have the backlog and making the money, then when I write quantum personality disorder, you'll see what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to explain it right now. Oh, no. No. If you read the last story, I've already done that. What is the last? Oh yeah, Baked Bird. Is Baked Bird the last one?
I'm not sure if it's the last one in there now.
I think that's the last story in there. I think Baked Bird is the last one. Bring back the Seam Ripper. Yeah, everybody loves the Seam Ripper.
All right, Paul. Somewhere in the next story that you're writing,
oh God,
somebody needs to find a Seam Ripper sitting on the table, and at least make note of it before moving on.
You know what? The next story I write in the Tony Downs universe, Garaga universe, will definitely have to have that. Have to have a Seam Ripper. Hell, we might even have a death by Seam Ripper. Sounds like something that would happen to Thomas Reed.
A Bobaverse series? There is a Bobaverse series. There's like 4 books.
He's talking about movies or TV.
Oh, okay. What I'm waiting for from him is he did a alternate world story where people found a way to travel from our world to an alternate reality. And he said he was going to be doing another one of those. I am still waiting because I totally want to hear that one.
Bobaverse would actually be pretty easy to do if you think about it, because you got one actor. All you got to do is keep changing the appearance as the Bobs kind of spread out and get further and further away from each other. Be hell on voices though. Holy shit.
Well, you know what was it we did with that first time we did the card game? All the parts are played by who was that?
Was it Christopher Walken? It was somebody like that.
No, it was oh God.
To Ryan Reynolds?
No, it wasn't that. I know the actor. I just can't think of his name. He was in the Hitman thing. Oh God. He and his sister were in the Hitman. Now I need to look it up here.
Everything needs more cowbell. Cowbell. Jesus Christ. Jack the Seam Ripper, the street in Whitechapel. Oh my God, that would be fucking hilarious. Basically, what you need to do is take the Muppets Christmas Carol and turn it into Muppet Jack the Ripper. Oh fuck yeah, that'd be awesome.
What was the show where a hitman goes back to his high school reunion?
Gross Point Blank.
Gross Point Blank. It was that one. Who was
John Cryer? Or not John Cryer. Fuck. I could have told you till you asked me.
I know, right? That's how I'm sitting. I know exactly what movie it is, and I can't think of his name. His sister was in the damn thing, and I can't think of her name either.
You're I hate you so much. You stole it right out of my brain. Come on, somebody help us out here.
It is John Cusack.
Cusack, thank you. God.
So we had said every role has to be played by John Cusack. So in the Bobaverse, we need to get John Cusack to play every role.
He could actually do that.
I think he could.
He could pull that off. Oh yeah. Now all the Cusacks come in.
Well, they're 5 seconds delayed from us. So
well, God damn it. That's not my problem. It's not my fault. I'm very, very, very impatient. So bad. Terra Nova wasn't on an alternate world series. Yeah, Terra Nova.
Yeah, Terra Nova was interesting. Too bad they only had one season.
Oh, did that only last one season?
It only lasted one season, which was sad because I liked where they left it off. I was like, they're really interested in seeing where it went from there.
Yes, it's a Dresden shirt. Doesn't look like Dresden to me, but we already discussed that.
That was one messed up episode. We'll have to go ahead and do that for one of the next live shows.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But we're gonna have to go ahead and keep that NC-17 deck out of there.
Yeah, that got really fracking scary. Oh, okay. Matt says he met one of the actors on Stargate who you never see, but he was more characters than anyone else because he played monsters.
Sure.
I totally buy that. I totally buy that. Huh?
Don't you remember
Apparently not.
the murder mystery? And it was a professional horse.
Oh,
Wanker.
never mind. You're right. You're right. Sorry, I missed the context. What is the weirdest criticism you've ever had of your work? Mine so far is, why did you kill off all these people? Those people being nameless characters in a town.
I don't read reviews, so I probably miss some really strange criticisms. I don't know. I tend to avoid, hearing what other people really think about those in those type of environments. So I don't know. The only one that really criticizes I know. The strangest criticism I've ever had was J.R. Handley bitching about my cover because it didn't look right and then admitting that he's colorblind. That's the strangest.
Most annoying comment I ever got was some dickhead who posted on YouTube about how bad Outbreak was because couldn't they just remove the people from the hospital during a quarantine? Couldn't they just get them out of there during a quarantine? Somebody didn't get what that is. Anyway, that was the most annoying. What was the other one that was really obnoxious? My father. Okay, my father, spoiler alert, yes, he's a patron.
Why does he never come on these shows? Come on now.
Because he's got taste. Every Sunday, when I go over to see him for lunch, okay, I have lunch with my folks every weekend, I get asked a question. Hey, why didn't you do this? Why didn't these people do this? Why are these people still there? Why haven't they said, fuck this? We don't care what the mission is. We're out of here. Well, because then there wouldn't be a story. If I was them, I'd get the fuck out of there. No way I'm doing this. Well, that's why they're professionals and you're a retired engineer.
Here's what you need to do, Paul. You need to go ahead and insert your father as a character into one of your stories, and that's all he does. When the trouble starts, he keeps like, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Why the fuck are we still here? Jesus Christ. Ah!
No.
Oh, it would be great. He would really get a kick out of that.
I do get asked occasionally, why do you hate these people so much? Why do you kill this? I got one on Patreon for Oceania. Why did you do this? So, yeah, it happens. I think there are certain people who are like, everybody must stand walking off into the sunset. Yeah, I don't do that. Do you tell your characters what to do, or do your characters do what they want to do?
Like, I set the circumstances and then I stay true to the characters. I don't modify the characters' actions because that just makes them look stupid. I try to stay true to what somebody in that person with that personality would have. I try to stay true to it, which has gotten Kelsey into all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, because it just won't leave something alone. My characters say what they want to say. Sometimes that will change the direction of something, but typically the characters do what I want them to do because I know what scene we're in, but there are occasions where they will tell me about a detail, or a detail will come spilling out in the page that changes everything to do with that scene and it affects everything I was planning on writing afterward. So in some ways, the characters, just toying with the characters, talking with the characters' voices, trying to imagine what everything looks like through those characters' eyes, I think that does have an effect on how you're writing, and does change how you see things. And I think that's why some writers will change their style depending on what kind of story they're telling, because it's being told through different characters, not just different genre, but maybe different style of character altogether. And maybe the story isn't an action story. Maybe it's a suspense story. Maybe it's a fucking romance. But all those things will change what the characters do and how you react to what those characters are doing. Just depends.
Have you ever mixed up two genres that are really tough to mix up and kept the two kinds of different plot threads somewhat separate? I.e., I'm thinking thriller, like you just said, and romance. It would be hard to have keep it so that the thriller didn't contaminate the romance.
I think every time I've seen that work successfully, it's been a comedy.
It might be.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for instance.
True.
I think there are several examples of that, but they're all the ones I can think of are dramedies. I can't think of anyone that are actually, traumatic. It's either you get the thriller or you get the romance. You don't get one sliding. You don't get the two in equal portions. Horror romance is completely possible. Horror romance is actually a good place to plumb the depths. I would argue that one is very easy to pull off because horror is already all about feeling. It's all about emotion. And so is romance. I think that those two are made in heaven. Personally. But I'm a sicko for that. Yeah, teenage years. Horror romance sounds like my teenage years. Yeah, exactly. All right, so my stomach is grumbling, Terry.
Grumbly?
It's very grumbly. So is my dog. Well, if you have a question about this show or comment, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley, or you can find me at Mastodon at Paul E. Cooley at mastodon.social. You can find us on Facebook, That Ugly Horrible Thing, on Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group, where Terry wrangles the madness. You can find us at YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast to see our ugly mugs and usually far too many cats. We have to thank our wonderful host, Pod Hoster, who makes all 14 bazillion episodes of the Dead Robot Society available for your ear holes. And if you'd like to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you get access to exclusive live shows and other content, like mostly unexpurgated shows where Terry and I completely go off the rails, because today we were actually well behaved, which is a miracle.
Moderately.
Now, here's the kicker. I have no mouse at present, so I can't bring up our list of patrons at the $10 level. So I'm going to have
Imagine
to
who you are.
Imagine who you are, whoever you are, $10 patrons this week. Thank you very much for being $10 patrons and supporting us. Thank you to all of our patrons for your support. Can't fucking believe I'm having this kind of day. I had something else I was going to say, but I've completely lost it. Yeah, Terry's got a new book out. I've got a new book out. Go buy them. Station 3's out. Last Hunter's out. Go get it. And we have to do one more thing. Terry and I are exclusively caffeinated by corpsecoffee.com. Go up to corpsecoffee.com.
And their specialty teas that now kill mice.
I haven't heard that one.
It killed your mouse.
Oh, yeah, specialty coffee. This is iced tea. We'll go with her. Anyway, go up to corpsecoffee.com. Check out the wonderful collection of coffees, boutique teas, and a wonderful webcomic. Go up there, support that small business, and tell them DRS sent you. And go to corpsecoffee.com. Get the dead in your cup. Okay, there. Now we're done. Now, here's the other thing. Can you end the broadcast?
I can.
Okay, because I can't.
So, folks, if I couldn't end the broadcast, if I didn't actually have access to this account, the broadcast would never end. It would just be going on forever and ever. So, in light of going on forever and ever, I want you to think about that right now.
Nobody wants that. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for coming, folks. Kill this thing.